Hello everyone and welcome back to Wargame Red Dragon. A bit of a weird one for you guys today. It's an in-house, it's a 2v2 on Paddy Field featuring myself, Bloody, BowChickaOutrun, and Hun, which is turning into a somewhat regular playgroup, much to my enjoyment. And today we're looking at this game not from my perspective over on the Blue 4 team, but from BowChickaOutrun's perspective on the Red 4 team. And this was a game where I think he's using my very own Baltic Moto deck that, of course, was developed in coordination with Blitzwar, which of course means it's like 90% his and 10% things that I've changed to more adapt to the units that I like and enjoy using and get good use out of. So he's using that, I'm over on the Blue 4 side, he's here in Red, and I mean, I think it's a lot of PT76Bs, but there are a lot of things that I do like about this opener. The Anna opener is a little bit challenging, but Moto decks do have some nice options for it. And you can see he's getting into the town on the left, and moving up, I think, into here. Yeah, okay, so we have KTs, 180s there. Very nice. Now, traditionally in this lane, my understanding is that if it's a 2v2, half of your stuff goes over to Boris and half really pushes into Gregory, because Gregory can be a really challenging first fight. That's also incredibly impactful because it has that open field potential, and if you own Gregory, you have a nicer hold on Boris. Yeah, this was unfortunate. So, okay, just a bit of a disclaimer. I know, of course, because I was playing on the other side of this, I know what I was thinking, I know where my units are. I'm going to do my best to shove that knowledge just completely out and focus on what you see from Bow's perspective and things there. So, I'll do the best I can. I'm not going to say it's perfect, but there we go. So, you can see Ranako and KT's forward in Boris before my mechanized units can get there. You can see at this point Israel. It was a public lobby, so Israel Mech was a known choice. And going into it with Baltic Moto is a big risk, because Moto decks are, well, they're notoriously cost ineffective over long games, unless you can get really asymmetrical engagements, which is, of course, what you're looking for with that high speed to try and get around, get nice pressure in asymmetrical engagements, blow through your opponent's backline, things like that. Unfortunate about the Ranako. Yeah, okay, nice Salamandra. Yeah, I mean, this is an 80-point helicopter, and it's an 80-point tank, so that just paid for itself, and you're zoning out my 2Bs, which is very nice. And this really surprised me. So I had Zeldas, I had Rovite, and the Ranako with the Pion, up close and personal. I don't tend to use these in forests, but I might reconsider it after this, because, I mean, close range recon, a lot of good punch. Okay, so the second you see the 2B, you should be turning off the Velma M78 and trying to hit that 2B, because Ranako have the armor piercing to do it, and instead they got kind of munched by that Merkava 2B. Also, one thing, I also put recon infantry here or here. If you're up on the high ground, I think you can see a bit farther over the plateau, but with the number of PT76Bs that you have, I would have liked to see a couple of them going out this way. Just because, I mean, you're Moto, you're playing against a mech deck, you know that now because you know which lane them in. And I think that really just going for the envelopment here would help get a lot of long-term sustainability. And yeah, it does weaken your fronts a little bit, but that's not the worst thing. Also, I'd like to point out that, I mean, Hun's position here is good, but it is a little bit tenuous. So Padopranki, Prusminski, no ATGMs, Proletary here. There's been a really hard fight, and in part that's because he was going against Bloody, but also with a little bit of my support on the ground in Gregory as well. So we did get a little bit of a 2v1 favorable engagement, but I think this is nice. So one other thing, with Moto and with sort of your higher end infantry, it's super important to keep them alive. So some of your first buys should be, okay, yeah, you do have some resupply going forward. The 15-point trucks will run out really quickly. I tend to call them out in twos and a couple at a time, so, you know, just make sure that they're there and that they're ready to help you out, heal you up, and all of that. Killing the Rovite was a really good job, so I was about to try to pull these guys back and resupply them. I think I had resupply trucks already on the way, and you didn't let me do it, which, yeah, they're 10-point line infantry, but that does add up over time. So that was a nice kill there, and my own micros, well no, okay, he was using the wall until you got out of range. That's unfortunate. Yeah, so that's so far so good. The Barak, by the way, that was a buy from me, and it took out Hun's Moderna, because we had vision from, I believe, a helicopter somewhere, I'm not really sure exactly where, on his side of the board, which was, I mean, that just sucks. So it was retreated, it was healing up, it was good across the board, and just because of the quirks of the map, we did get the scoop there. Okay, let's see. Yeah, so this is going to be your trouble, right? I'm just bringing in more Rovaites, some Bardellas, some Auxiliates, some Zeldas, lots of heavily armored infantry fighting vehicles, and chaff. And that's my entire goal here, is to push you out with that. So, some answers. I like the Telikers, and Han the Hun's Plummen. I think we're about to see exactly how useful those things are. We already have a little bit with the attack over on the left. Yeah, I mean, there's not too much to say for this right now. You're doing a good job, doing some nice teamwork. Ooh, that was something. So Ryanaco Yekuri are panicked against Rova 890. The way this happened is when they were unloaded, they were still in the same position as their vehicle. When my Rovate got up and into combat with them, my Rovate used their M72A4 laws, took out your vehicle, and the explosion was right on top of your Ryanaco Yekuri. That's why they're panicked. If they were calm, they would be really just even going 2v1, not 4v1, but certainly 2v1 against those Rova 890 a lot better. And as this is right now, 40 points of infantry, killed infantry fighting vehicle, and they're about to kill 35-point infantry as well. So yeah, this is costing me the health of my men, but it is definitely a long-term investment that's good for me. So another quick thing, I know we talked about it during the game on voice and Discord, but the second your seed plane circles, evac it. He should never be making this second turn, because what's going to happen is, and we're about to see it here, I turned off my radar AA when I saw him coming in, and there it is, it's on, it's firing, just at the edge of his range, and gets the hit, and now certainly this thing needs to be gone. So the second you saw those missiles coming in, that's an evac, and then this is tough because the stun is carrying him all the way back around, so even if you hit evac at this point, I think it's going to be too late. You really have to take him out the first circle and then out, because anything after that, if you either see it and take it out in the first pass, or your opponent, you can assume, is going to be trying to get you to fly into it as a way to take out your seed plane. So that was relatively not great loss there. It's a pretty expensive loss. This pressure in over the top on the right, I didn't expect it at all. Most people tend to fight, if they have Anna, they tend to go down on the left hand side. And there's a couple of reasons for that, which we'll go into in just a second, but the Erekos Yekuri leading the way is also, I think it's just a really expensive choice. Right, so these guys don't have tertiaries for woods fighting. The Apolos is amazing armor piercing, yes, but at 35 points and low availability, they're not going to trade all that well into line infantry that I have. I have 20 of these guys, minimum, right, and I have Rova 890 and Auxiliates as well. Yeah, so I think... I'm not really sure. These are Yekri as well in the KTs, if I know that deck, which is about your cheapest option. The issue is this is still 60 points. What I would have liked to see, if you're pressuring down into this side, is get the infantry going in, like you have, and then set the KTs on top of the ridge, with something like a Pion up top as well, or ATGMs, and if you're going to use this advance, really just make it hurt for me, right? So take out my armor, take out anything that starts shooting in here, zone out this section, and use your expensive fire support that you have to bring in order to get boots on the ground to zone me out, because it was a breakthrough. It was nice. And a little bit more firepower would have helped that go. I mean, you can see the Gazelle Canon on that side. Would have been nice to take him out as well. So I think a little small change there would have made this a tremendous opportunity, because if you're clearing that out, that threatens Square Forest as well, which does help your ally over here in Gregory. And I think he's doing that right now with the M84AN, moving up, nothing really to spot there. But you do see Bedouins, and these guys should probably be mortared immediately. I didn't realize that you saw them. I have my M14 on, which is probably why they're shooting and being spotted, but yeah, I mean, this pressure on the left now is really good as well. Taking out the Merkava 2B, that's an 80-point kill with the Renoko Yekuri. That is just crucial stuff. And I really didn't expect this much pressure into Bravo from a motorized deck against a mech deck. Now, I'm still learning how to play it, but that is sort of beside the point. Mech decks in a dedicated force grind should be doing really well, and the fact that you're countering that is amazing. Syria, call out, not really sure what that was for. And the KWS play with the Raider AA, I mean, that was kind of just a bit of a points waste there, which I would have loved to see those points on the ground, because right now you have the forward position, you're engaging my reinforcements right as they're coming into the zone, which is not what I want at all. Yeah, and this is just so many guns. Look at that, the Zelda, the Rovite, all of that stuff shooting in. and they're just getting up and into position again. Wonderful plumbing. Wonderful plumbing. Stunning everything. Yeah, I think again with the Valmet M78, that's what's making Yoreneko Yaekuri get spotted, even though they're in deep forest. And that's just gonna hurt. So turn that off, pull them back, fight in the deep forest. Instead of, you can see right now, all of my fire support's getting online with the Zeldas and the Oxyrites. Deny me that. Make me come to you, and then use those high armor piercing launchers if that's what you're going to do. I do also want to point out at this point I was getting help from Bloody because there hadn't been much movement over in Gregory, and he actually gave me two A1s and a couple of recon tanks as well. So that's all in Boris right now, and this is starting to look a little bit grim, maybe? I'm not entirely sure. Mechanizovana, more Mechanizovana is my guess in the 60p. Yeah, 5-pointer, very cheap, very nice. Very nice. And you see, here's the thing. Even if I push you back here, I had zero confidence to push up because this position is held. Now, a spike team that far forward, maybe not as effective as something like a placement back here. Or if you want, if you have control over this section, you can put one right here, and then when tanks and things move up and engage with anything in the town, you'll be potentially getting a side angle on them. It risks a front angle too, but it is definitely a good choice, I think. 1390, yeah, I mean, the Pion, this is going to be brutal. Double 2A1 up on the high ground without support, and okay, I take it back. Spike team did good work, Pion did good work. Yeah, nice kill, very nice kill. I think my only criticism at this point, I mean, you have the cap for a while, you guys are up 180 points to 3, and that's only because we just recently capped Gregory into a push from your teammate, is to go around. Just because that's what Moto decks do, right? You sneak something through, you sneak something around. A single unit of Erekois would give you recon, would give you some combat capable ability here, and if you had one up there, you'd be able to see my reinforcements as they're coming in, which would be devastating, right? So you have this guy right here in this corner forest, or if you can even get him farther into this town, which I don't think I was even contesting at that point, or you can go farther up and go for here and try and cross down there. I have success with that sometimes because people don't tend to expect it, so you go up, you go across this bridge, and then you go over into this section of forest, which people often put mortars there, so you can get a couple of cheeky kills, though it does risk your recon, of course, getting spotted themselves when they attack and destroyed. Nice build-up as well, so the Yaekuri, KTs, Pion, yeah, that's all good. KTs will struggle a little bit in the forest if they lose their line infantry though, so be really careful. Oh goodness. Okay, I forgot about this. I'm so sorry. That's the Mar 290, which has really high HE. Although you can see, oh geez, I need to get away from saying that. Verbal tics when recording. It's really easy to get locked into one phrase or expression for a video, and you say it a million times and never think about it. If you want more creativity, I do have to ask, like, share, subscribe, and all that YouTuber nonsense. It's just how it goes. It's the fact of being on the platform. I did also, this cracked me up in the middle of the game because I didn't expect it at all. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Telekura 84s building a smoke wall, the Great Smoke Wall of China, between Boris and Center, and I guess denying fire support, but the fight isn't back there. The fight's up here. Right, so the Oxyrites, the Rovite, the Merkava 2As, we're moving the front line forward just a little bit, and part of this was as a spoiler attack of sorts. So if I can get the 2As up, take apart anything that's over here in the side woods, that will make it harder for you to push, and you're pushing anyway, which is nice, but again, the KTs have to be behind things because they will struggle. And taken out by Oxyrites is not worthwhile. These guys are 15 points each. They will kill the KTs just through sheer volume of fire eventually. I mean, you can see the stun there. Oxyrites doing decently well until your Pion engages. If that was infantry first on that side, this would have been devastating. The fact that it was vehicles first is what got it sort of taken out, and even then, God, look at that smoke wall. That's amazing. Even then, you're still having some decent success, which just goes to show how asymmetrical this was at the time. Oral coming in, that's going to be cluster bombs. Probably a right click on my Merkava 2A by the look of it, because yeah, I think so. That dispersion pattern was pretty bonkers. But, I mean, the tanks there were taken out. This was very nice. And I think you even dodged the counter battery on the Telecurs, so nice micro there, getting these out of the way. Pretty expensive to have 6 of these, but if you can use them to support your frontline infantry, great, that's amazing. That'll help you win fights against mechanized with good value. You just really need to be leading with more infantry first, and then the vehicles. It's such a little thing, but it makes such a tremendous difference. It's incredible. I really can't describe it enough. Like, what Bloody's doing right here. This is an unknown forest for the Blue 4 team at the moment. We actually thought you guys had it. So his Panzer are going to unload. He splits them into single groups. He's moving them forward, and the M13 A1Gs are going to follow as soon as they get a little bit of distance. It helps make up for the speed difference, which of course is really annoying to have to deal with, but it's a fact of life. So the preemptive plowman there from Han is good. And then I'm back to this forest. So he pushed me back again. Bedouin's finally taken out by KTs. And this is a little bit rough. My Zeldas are actually trying to draw fire right now, just to let everything else get up into this forest, as well as to mark targets for the Tsefa B, which had mixed success, honestly, not as good as I was hoping for from that. But we did still get some stuns. We got some kills on the Yakari, which is very nice. And then bombs coming in. I think that was a Kurnos? Yeah, don't quite know. I think that was a Kurnos. Which is just, that's Israel being Israel, right? It's going to be something that's going to happen eventually. And, okay. Raskas and Korima are amazing as long-range fire support. If you set them right here, if you have a forward presence in Boris and you set them up on the top of that ridge, just like this guy's doing right now, he can shoot in all the way in against the most common reinforcing route, which is basically through here. So set them up on the ridge, give them that little bit more vision and line of sight, and they can do wonderfully to support you. Double stack right there with the musty trucks would be 4 recoilless rifles. That will kill Oxyrits, it will kill Rova 890. It will be just amazing, amazing stuff, and it's a little bit less fragile than what's happening right now, where you're still getting good shots in. You will kill the Oxyrits here just through weight of fire, but when you take return fire, it's going to be challenging. So Raskas and Korima only 5 health for 15 points. Basically the opposite of the good militiamen, which are 10 strength for 5 points, or 15 strength for 5 points, depending on the faction. Ooh. Yeah, a lot of mortars setting my whole force on fire. That actually forced my Draken out. This was not a voluntary movement on my part. They were in the woods in the forest got set on fire, and they moved out onto the road, which gave you vision. It's very nice. I think actually, oh, it's 64A versus a Draken. That's sad, but okay, I got out of dodge. And you guys are back ticking +1. This is a very, very dominant game now. There's a good forward position in Gregory. There's a good forward position in Boris. The thing that you're going to have to watch out for is, even though you've pushed me back a number of times, these fights have still been weighted a little bit in my favor in terms of kills over time. And that's something you really need to push in. This needs to be capped, and it is about to be from Han. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's good. That's really good. Moderna, looks like one of them taken out. Is that? Yep, that's dead Moderna. It looks like he turned to engage the 2A5 on that side, then got hit by spikes, which, that has to hurt. Kurnos coming in, I'm looking for that second Moderna. We do have it spotted. I right-clicked it, and this is kind of goofy. My Kurnos loses vision right there the last second, stops aiming, and I had to manually target the bombs, and I miss. So I shot a little bit too far back, did about 2 damage to that, and then I lose the Kurnos, which was very painful for me. Quite upsetting to lose a Kurnos for free, because it is just such a powerful weapon, and I did need those bombs up close and in Boris as well. It's just, from the Blue Fort perspective, we were bleeding pretty hard here, basically pushed out of both the middle zones, and still getting fire support from the Plummins thrown in our face every 5 seconds was just really, really rough. Really rough. Yeah, so at the 21-minute mark, if you're not exploiting the flanks as Moto, I have questions. Which it just takes some getting used to, that style of play, just constantly trying to exploit gaps. You're actually playing a better mechanized style of play than I am right now, which is kind of goofy considering the deck choice. Okay, this, I think at this point had 2 Mar-290s, but this is a bit of a trap. So Raskas and Korima are very fragile. We didn't kill much that one, I think, but we will kill a fair bit here. The Rovai are calm. Your stuff is mostly panic shaken all the way back, right? So even these guys back here, they didn't take any actual damage, but they're panicked, they're shaken, they're not going to be shooting well, and that was the beachhead for my own counter push, and this is going to be nasty. Nice kill on the FB, but Rovai, Oxyrits, and Zeldas and all of that will chew through Raskas and Korima in close range. It won't even be a competition. So look at this, 5 strength, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, 30 points lost. Which is why I think as helpful as they were earlier, it's just not the right position for Rescas in Korima, which is unfortunate, but some units you want to have work differently than they do, and they just don't, and it can be kind of a disappointment when it is that way, but it's just how the game's played, right? So double 2A5 here from Bloody is a problem, but nice thermomig there, or nice napalm rather, and nice mortars as well. So this is going to be slowing down. Reservists are already slow. If they get stunned, if they get panicked, it's just going to be glacial sorts of speeds there. Also really nice breakthrough. The Kartnyekri on this side, Kartnyekri on this side. What I would do with these guys are amazing woods fighters, but they really struggle in the open ground. I would have taken both of these and just thrown them through to the left with the goal of killing any soft targets I have in these woods, which I believe at the time included, yeah, Shinov 2s right there, and a Barkhan, and denying me reinforcements routes while you get more stuff up and forward, which is very nice. But again, Musties and Rescas in Korima forward is going to be a little bit of a challenging choice there. Yeah. Single roll of 8 kind of messes up your plans a little bit with the Musty kill, but this is still a good exploit. Once you get through, Kartnyekri in the woods with the Rescas in Korima near the woods is a good option, unfortunately intercepted by Merkava 2A. So very nearly some great success there. The issue now, once those Kartnyekri are forward, if you're not throwing reinforcements in on the right to exploit into center, I'm just going to retake Boris. So you can see my Rovi are going up. I'm trying to just see if I can get a free kill, suspecting that there wasn't much up here. And the PT-76B placement's beautiful, but this is still a threat. So yeah, if they were anything better than Rovait, which fortunately for the Red 4 team they weren't. Yeah, that's goofy. And then this looks like panic buys. I tend to bring things in double squads in Moto. I don't know if that's just a crutch for me though, so whatever seems to work best for you is of course fine. And now this has waited too long, so if you'd moved them over left earlier, you would have gotten 140 points in kills on Fragile AA, but now it's just going to be a Rovate and that sort of thing grind, where the Kartnyekri will do well against the individual Rovate, but not if you give me time to actually address this position. And another Barak going in for the Moderna on the high ground, which, and I quote, "I'll make you pay for this," was the response from Handahan, and he does right there. One-way trip. I think the trade was worth it, and the reason why is the Leopard 2A5. So we have 2 Leopard 2A5s. Bloody has gotten, I think, into the town on the right side of Gregory, or at least cleared it, and taking out that Moderna eliminated a lot of your team's ability to deal with armor. So this looks like the turning point in the take and hold strategy. So you're up 344 points to 5 with 16 minutes left. If you can hold us to a +1 tick, that's the game. The question is how you do that. And I think Handahan was saying this during the game as well. The best way to do this, in my opinion, is to hold the high ground in this section of woods, which unfortunately means that the attacks from Boris into center probably need to stop, and you just need to make sure that every time I pop my head up one of these 2 routes or through the forest, that's a death trap. And you have the tools, so Telecutter 84s can panic, stun, and kill any infantry on those sides, and then what you want to do is you want to get some fire support back here, some fire support back here, and even as far back as probably this section of woods as well. A tank or 2, a Pion here is amazing. So a Pion, a spike team, everything going up here is going to get stunned and killed and all of that. And then that was just unlucky. So the Mar 290 only fires 4 shots, and one of them caught your command vehicle dead on, which is, yeah, it's just unlucky. The dispersion pattern on that one is a little wide sometimes. The fact that it landed is, well, that's why it's a good hardy piece for 90 points. So Kurnos following up, and I'm just trying to clear out the top part of these sections of woods. I think a bit of a miss, yeah, bit of a miss. Killed some CC, but that's about it. And instead of going down again, this needs to hold. Because what's going to happen is these KRKKs are going to get spotted as soon as they go down this ridge, and I'm ready for them. So one of them's dead right off the bat. And the KRKKs are infantry killers for sure. This is great. You can see the damage they're already doing to the Shayatet, but they needed to be farther back, up at the top of the ridge with the Kartnyekri leading the way. You would have been outside of my range, and able to really get both of those grenade launchers online very, very quickly, which would help you hold. So, +1 right now, you guys win. That's the goal, and we'll see if you can do it. So, mortars, Plowman, yeah. The persistent mortifier, I want to see the kills on these guys at the end because they have to have a lot. This was just tremendous artillery and support tab usage from your entire team the entire time. Very, very impressive for it. Let's speed up to speed 2 here, as there is just a bit more time left in the game. We're in a little bit of a lull. So just because I was playing on the other side of this, let me tell you what I was doing at this point was consolidating and getting ready for a push, because I kind of suspected after that last one that it would be a little bit difficult for you to do that sort of scale again, which, looking at the field, that is sort of true. So, I think the Rock 91 buy, maybe not the best. You guys already have a Plummen, lots and lots of mortars, and you don't really have much of a front line. Whenever you have that, you have to fix it right then and there, and with triple Pion buys and all of this and the Rock coming in, I think maybe you were floating some points. That might have cost you the game, frankly. So, yeah, just more on the ground, more on the front line. Every time your front line gets blown through, you have to fix it in Conquest, because even if it costs you a little bit of points, it keeps the fight where you want the fight to be. So, if we're fighting even, but it's on your side of the board, we win. If you guys are fighting even, but it's on our side of the board, you win. When your front line gets killed, your opponents have a chance to push that line of contact. And even if once it stabilizes, it's just as costly for your opponents as it is for you, the fact that they moved it is enough to change the whole course of the game. Right now we're at +2. That gives us a win if we hold it for 12 minutes. Although I think it'd be really close. Yeah, it would be pretty close, but we'd have about a 50-point lead, 70-point lead maybe, enough to win the game instead of tying it. So you have to contest Boris basically right now, because Gregory, with the double 2A5 that we saw over there, and with the Modernas no longer being an option, is going to be tough. What I do like is the recon buys here. I also have a question. So these are ATGM trucks. I think they're the 40-pointers? Not entirely sure. But regardless, those sorts of trucks this close will tend to get killed. They don't really have much armor. They're comparatively expensive. And you don't need an ATGM that close. If you took 2 of those, and you set them back here, maybe one right there, one right here, everything that came up would be getting ATGM'd from outside of their ability to shoot back, unless it's a really long range option, and even then it's going to have preferential choices, because these trucks are comparatively cheap. So let's take a look. Ooh, there's 60-point ones. Yeah, if you don't mind in the comments, just let me know if you remember you were floating points or not, because if this had been there 3-4 minutes earlier, you could have maintained the pressure on Boris, maintained the cap on Boris, maintained the +1 a little better, and that would have been just incredibly impactful over the course of this game. And basically what I'm telling you is, I think you guys had us. And then because we just brought in all of our points, I think maybe that turned the tide. Also, Nimrod's being a little bit of a bully there against an M91A V4, that is the 170-pointer, and I don't know why, I think I was just taking the opportunity because I had both the Nimrods in the area, but that's just a brutal kill, and the smoke a second too late. Man, I understand completely how much that hurts. I'm so sorry. Okay, so Teleker's moving up. Gotta be careful with that when they run out of ammunition. If you have queued orders, they will continue to move up anyway. Basically, they'll try to attack with their gun. One thing you can do about that is turn that secondary gun off. Let me just show you that real quick. With this guy. Yeah, so he has an M2 Browning and an M37 mortar. If you turn off the Browning, and then you give fire at position commands, when he runs out of ammunition, he'll no longer have any valid guns, and the unit will stop. Which can save you a lot of stress if you realize a little bit too late that your stuff's in the wrong position. Also, Rom a little bit out of position gets taken out by Vabs. That has to hurt as well, especially because there was a Kurnos coming in looking for those Ranico, looking for the Aeroco, and we get half of them, which, frankly, that's return on investment enough for me. And then I think this push just wasn't necessary. So it's incredibly costly. Your Ranico are dying. Ranico are the way to hold the line against my late game pushes. And the fact that they're getting taken out is not really going to slow me down much. This push was incredibly cost effective for me, not for you. Which, in this position, in this board position, you can't afford. And I hope I'm not being overly critical. It's a little bit challenging doing that for someone else's gameplay, because when it's my replay and I'm looking at my own side of the board, it's really easy for me to say, yeah, this wasn't very good, and I'm just challenging myself. But I don't mean any offense with this whatsoever. I'm just trying to look at the game and basically treat it like if I was playing. And if I was playing and I was watching this replay, I'd be just kicking myself for that sort of advance right there. Especially with, I mean, the Mar 290 follow-up. I had planned to coordinate that with a push in against you, and then because you pushed in, it was mistimed, so that was very nice. But just the cost for this, 3 pions, that's what, 150, 225 points plus the Ranico. That must have been at least 350 points in that push lost. Then the PH2 Tiger, this is because the ROM was out of place. If the ROM was in place, that Tiger would be dead, and the command vehicle would still be alive, which would have changed the face of this game. By the way, this is just me being a little bit cheeky. Bloody and I had some miscommunications, and we purchased too many command vehicles, including my Hapok there, the Nagmachan. So I was just moving them forward just to see, and we do counter cap for about 2 seconds. But still, it's about sending a message, right? Definitely. Yeah? Okay. So, Moranico, Kartanyakity. Kartanyakity would also have been a really good option here because they, when supported, can kill Zeldas, and the KRKKs, look at that. It's range, it's infantry killing power. You set those back about here. Infantry that comes up just dies. Yeah. Kurnos coming in. I was looking for clearing out the Ranico, but then I saw the Kartanyakity, and they're going to drop there. But the Neva M1s from Han coming in clutch. These guys, of course, 90 points are fairly expensive, but they're a pretty guaranteed kill against most things, and it's really terrifying. I mean, 65% accuracy, really good veterancy because they have killed a couple of planes that are actually at elite, which is completely terrifying. And let's look at this. 2 planes in from Bloody Bombers by the look of it. Tornado 1DS. 1 kill. Second bomber. Second kill. 3 kills in very quick succession. But it is going to draw fire, so I immediately retasked all of my Mar 290s to shoot in at this location, which I send them both just because of the dispersion pattern. You see the first one's a miss, second one gets 1, and we take out both of those AA pieces. A nice little bit of revenge there, very cathartic, even if it wasn't all that impactful at the time. And the other issue that you guys are going to have, so we're at 184 points, 6 minutes left. That is incredibly close. Incredibly close if we can maintain the +2. If you had a +1, that's the win. As it is, I'm actually looking for a counter cap on Anna, so that's why my tanks are moving up. Nesher A, a little bit of a waste. I was hoping to make sure that I killed those AA pieces. L17K is very nice. And then I do lose some tools here, but it's just it's a human wave tactic at this point. I've got more infantry in this section, and we're pushing into you, and because your infantry died pushing into Boris, there's not much left here. Yeah, it's kind of rough. I understand the ITO-90 buy as well, probably in response to the Tiger. Yeah, double ITO-90, probably a little excessive. I think if you were to take all of this and boil it down to 1 or 2 comments, they would be as follows. 1, exploit the side. If you were winning in Boris and you had vision on the side and you could use that to punish my reinforcement line, I'm never recovering Boris. And then 2, make sure you have your points forward on the ground with this sort of deck, with this sort of style of play. If you had kept up maintaining pressure in Boris, again, that's the game. If you guys had a +1 for even 5 minutes more, even 3 minutes more, and then had maintained a +1 instead of letting us get a +2 at the end, that would have been an entirely different ending to this very, very ferocious match. So I think at this point, let's go back to speed 2 just because there are only a couple of minutes left in the game. Plummen, and then, yeah, we're taking out some rear support there again with the Mar 290s. Yeah, it's a common position for that zone, but nice spike teams, nice conquerors teams. We didn't really want to push you guys all that much more for fear of losing our own fragile ticking advantage with 4 minutes left. That is just, actually, do we even win that? 30 points a minute, so that's, what, 120? Yeah, we do. Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, it didn't even look like we'd get the win there off of that, but I guess so. And the ITO-90 that you bought here is very good. I'm taking down my Nimrod. Yeah, it's just too much stuff at this point. So the Rovates, close range Plum S. Very nice. And then I've decapped Anna, gives us a +3. That cements it. That's going to be the game. So let's speed through here, then take a look at some of your highest performing units. I think potentially we'll notice a couple of themes, so I do want to see that. And then with Honda Hun's surrender, this was just a bit of a, yeah, I mean, it's a +6 ticking moment. I understand the throw everything forward. It is going to throw off the KD a little bit at the end. I do tend to find that that's a useful metric just to see a true reflection, sorry for the continual pings there, but a true reflection of the game itself. So the kills losses 9,000 to 6,335. Not really a true reflection. I think it's going to be about 1,000 less than that on our side. Prior to that, sort of send everything forward in the last couple minutes. But yeah, I mean, Han was positive, gave us a really hard fight in Gregory for quite a while, and also had very nice support with the Plum and S's. And then let's look for highest performing units here. So the Renako Yekuri, Zelda, Oxley, Zelda barely pays for itself with that, if it even does. Well, no, that's 15, 25 points. So yeah, this is the thing. You killed 3 IFVs. I came out 10 points ahead. It's crazy, right? It's crazy. Mech versus Moto. Pion, yeah, so these were the forward assault Pions, I think. Yeah, okay. This is a case, yeah, your Pion got forward, got through, what had proper support. This is the one that killed my Oxidate Pakud, and there was still infantry in front of him at that point in time, if memory serves. Killed the 2A1, killed lots of Oxidates, killed the Pakud. Great unit here, and really highlights what Moto wants to do, which is get through, exploit, and keep the pressure high. And then, other than that, Raskas and Korima, that does actually pay for itself with triple Zelda, 15 point buy, 15 points kills. And I think, yeah, this is just, ooh, nice. Yeah, so we can basically see most of your units that ran into mechanized troops did not pay for themselves, but the ones that got through did. And that's why I emphasize flanking so much. Get around, make more of your units get through my defenses in unexpected ways, and it makes such a huge difference. Alright, well, I hope you enjoyed this one. It was a pleasure to record it, and I do apologize, I'm a little tired at the time of recording, but I really look forward to playing with you again, and having that win on my end turn into a loss to some truly excellent gameplay. So, thank you guys for hanging around, and we'll see you again real soon.